Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm MK.
And I'm Courtney.
And Courtney, how are you?
Well, I am living the dream, a little stressed, because tomorrow, which it is 2 p.m. and at 6 or 7 a.m., I don't remember, maybe 8 a.m., who's to say? I have a flight to Miami to go on a cruise with my bestie Rachel. And I'm very excited. I did check into our flights while I was watching the third round of Hannibal Rising this morning at 8 a.m. So I think my flight actually leaves at 8, um, which makes sense. But yeah, I'm super stoked. I love a cruise. I love Virgin Voyages. I talked about it last year. No kids, great food, and it's like the Eats and Beats Summer or something. That's what Disney calls it. That is not the name of this cruise,
Right.
but it's the like food month. And so they have a like really cool like Asian night market one night, and then their test kitchen is
Oh,
doing
I
like fun
love an
like
Asian night market.
I know I'm so excited. And their test kitchen, which is like their fancy foods. Like I had blue cheese sorbet there last year. Like it's like
Mm,
weird concoctions.
yeah.
Is doing like a bites night, one of the later nights. And so it's just gonna be like a really fun little. Oh no, it's their Pikagawi, their Mexican restaurants doing the bites night. And so it's gonna just be like a super chill week. I'm so excited. We're going to the Bahamas and Key West. So I've got my little halter top on, trying to like get beachy vibes ready. No, I have not started packing. Um, no, I have not cleaned the clothes I need to wash to wear.
Good.
Um,
Good, good, good.
no, I have not created my cruise playlist. However, I did go get my nails done.
Perfect.
This is perhaps the best they've ever looked,
They do look
which is
fantastic.
great. They do. I had a great person. They had no power. We walked up to the nail salon and the lights were off. And we've had some storms here lately, that were pretty bad, but it rained really heavy on my drive. I thought I was going to die driving back from Baton Rouge. I didn't. But we get to the nail salon and all the lights are off, but there are people in there. And so it's Cindy's nails and Cindy owns it. And so Cindy's there and we're like, are you doing nails today? Is that a thing we can have? And she's like, yeah. And so they have all the doors open, obviously, because it's thankfully 10 degrees cooler than it has been in the past 2 weeks in New
Yeah.
Orleans. Um, and they have the chairs set up, but like you can't do the massage chair because there's no electricity.
Yeah.
But they did a full deluxe pedicure. We had wine. They gave us wine. I got my like full pedicure. They did burn me a little bit because I've never done gel toes. But Rachel
Mm,
usually does them, and I was like, I really need this to last me for like 7 states.
yeah.
So I probably should just go ahead and do it too.
Yeah.
But she burned me. She touched me with the light, and I was like on a business call. I was like, oh my God, that's hot. Thank God it was with Forbes because he's like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. What happened? I was like, I am at a nail salon. I am so sorry.
Yeah.
Because I forgot about our call until 15 minutes ago when you said you could call me in 15 minutes. But it's fine. So we made it through. But yeah, and so then the girl, I had the like smartest nail technician there. Her name is Anna, and I love her now.
Love that.
She was not having the dark because I was like, how long have the lights been out? She's like, I don't even know. I was like, oh, it's too long. She's like, yeah. But
Right.
she like put her phone up with like rubber bands over like a pole over your nails. So she had plenty of light to do my nails. No one else did that. And I was like, I have gotten the only nail technician that knows what she's doing. But
Perfect.
she did not burn me, and my nails have come out beautifully. And she
Love
listened to
that.
me and she cut them down enough because you were my last girl did not.
Yeah.
So they will hopefully last me until after I see you.
That's
Theoretically before I see Washington, but we'll see.
yeah. So that's a long time though.
I mean, it's a month. It's a month
Yeah.
exactly from the day that I'll be back. So like it's not terrible. I really wanted them to last till after I get back from Washington, but that's like September 5th. I don't know if they'll make it that
Yeah.
long. But I have so many flights booked. Like I have a flight booked to and from Miami.
Yeah.
So I'll be on 2 planes. And then I have a flight booked to New York to drive to Chicago. Driving
Yeah.
back to Chicago. I have not booked my it will happen. I have found the one I want to book. I just have not officially booked it.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So I have to book my flight to Buffalo, and then I have to book my flight back to New Orleans from Buffalo. but I have booked my flight to Washington for the festival, which
Okay.
is the Labor Day weekend, because that was going to be crazy expensive. So I was
Yeah,
like,
because it's a holiday weekend.
and then I booked my flight to New York and home from New York in September because they had 25% off for JetBlue if I booked that day. So I do have to book two more flights, but I have most of them booked already, which
Nice.
is nice because I was not sure how that was going to work out. A lot of planes in a very short amount of time. So this is the beginning of that. Tomorrow is the beginning of that. So feel free to enjoy my mental decline over the next 12 episodes probably um after this one comes out. So
Perfect. Perfect.
so how are you?
I need you to check your phone. Because I just sent you a text. Well, hold on, it hasn't gone through yet. But
I was like,
yeah,
I
no,
don't have a
I
text
just sent you a
message.
text. It's a picture, so it might take a second.
It is taking too long already.
Um, so I told Courtney that I had a very, very busy weekend. And then earlier this morning, I I was looking at my phone and I gasped. And I wouldn't tell Courtney what it was. If you don't get this text, I didn't want you to get it early, so I didn't send it until I
Right.
needed you to see it.
Your
So,
internet needs to step it up. I think my internet's okay today.
but
Do
it's
you have a
sent.
game on in your phone?
No, it's sent.
Did you send it to me?
Yeah,
Did you send it by text message?
yeah.
Ah, let's turn off my Wi-Fi back on. This is very stressful. I've been
Oh
waiting
my
for this for
gosh,
like
she
four
has. She's been
hours.
waiting so
Okay.
long for this information.
Did you get the whole?
Yeah. So Dan and I bought a house,
Yes, I need the full
and it's
pictures, not just a
official.
screenshot.
No, it's just a screenshot of it officially saying on Zillow that it's pending. I
I know, but I need to
well,
see the pictures.
when I'll send you a when after we're done, I'll send you a link to the actual like listing.
Ah,
But
that's so exciting.
I we so we looked at the house Saturday morning, and then I looked on Zillow and it said that the offers were due Sunday at 5 p.m. And I was like, that is not a lot of time to have this conversation. So I spent all day Saturday on the phone with my parents and Dan's mom and the real estate agent and everything. We were like, okay, we're gonna do it. We're gonna put the offer in. And then the real estate agent called me Sunday morning and was like, they won't let us do an escalation clause. Um, so you just gotta pick a number and stick to it. Um, so then that was stressful because
That is
like
very stressful,
because
yeah.
then you have to like hope that you pick the right number.
Yeah.
And so then like again, spent all day on the phone with everybody trying to figure out what we were gonna do. Turns out we know some things about the house that they were not disclosed to us by the seller or the real estate agents or anything, but because Kenmore is a small area, um, I happen to know that the owner who's selling it is selling it because her boyfriend committed suicide in it last month. But
Oh,
so
that's a hard.
haunted houses, of course.
Yeah, all that.
Um, but so then my real estate, so the offers were due at 5 and they weren't gonna look at them until 7. So I was out to dinner with my friend and then it was like 6:30 and I like my phone died and I was like I was like driving to dance because I was like, I need to plug my phone in. I needed to be charged by 7 o'clock. I was like freaking out. And then I was like, got there and I was like, well, how much time do I have? And he goes, it's 7:05. And I was like, no. So I was like panicking and I was like freaking out. And then we got a text at like 7:15 that was like, hey, do you guys have a minute to talk? And I was like, Dan and I both immediately were like, I was like, felt like I was gonna like shit myself. I was like, oh my God, like we both like felt like we were gonna throw up. I was like, wait, he's gonna call us and tell us that we didn't get this. And he goes, hey, and like, so Jay, my real estate agent, is like, hey, how are you guys doing? And we're like, we're good, and he goes, did you guys know what you just got? And I just started crying. And he was like, yeah, you guys just got a house. Um, so obviously we just won the bid yesterday. So like we're not closing is still gonna take a while and everything.
Right.
Like the things just went to our lawyer today, but like I bought a
That's amazing.
house.
Congrats. So
And
you're for sure gonna have Monica come stage this house before you actually move in,
oh yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But I like called my mom. I was like, so moms, you remember that guy that I was talking to you about last month? And she goes, yeah. And I go, so it's his house.
That
And
is so
the crazy
wild.
thing is Dan, like he was like, I don't know. And he was like, I could ask my mom, like, if she knows who was selling the house because it's in the village that his mom works. And I go, okay, so on the contract, the seller's name is on it. So I went on Facebook and I put her name on it. And
Yeah.
this is what her Facebook picture is of, because it's of the guy. And I go, and these are what the
Mhm.
comments were saying. And then I was in the What's Up Kenmore like Facebook group and like looking at some of the posts and like I'm 99% sure that this is who it is. And he goes, I don't know. And I go, yeah. So then he talked to his mom and I was right. And he goes, how do you
You
do
can look it
that?
up. You can look it up at the courthouse
No,
too.
no, no, I know, but she did because she has her records and everything
Mhm.
for the village. So, but he goes, how do you do that? I go, do you know how easy it is to figure out who people are on Facebook? Like, I don't.
Truly. Truly.
And then I was like,
No,
don't
and
worry. And I
it's
started
so
telling him
easy to
about,
find them too.
I started telling him about whether the Ring cameras work or not based on like something that she had posted on the What's Up Kenmore Facebook group. And he goes, what is wrong with you? I was like,
See, these are the times that I'm like, okay, Dan's for sure not a serial killer. But
yeah.
like
I mean, when
these are
when
those
he's like when
moments.
he's like, I don't know who Train is, you're like serial killer. When he's like, I've
Right.
never used Facebook to stalk someone, you're like, oh, maybe not.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I do know he doesn't know how to use social media, but that also could be serial killer that you're like just hiding from social media. But like,
Yeah, no, but he's on social media. He just doesn't know how to use it correctly.
right,
So
right.
it's not the same.
Yeah.
So,
Oh man, what
so
a
yeah.
time. What a day. I'm going on a
Yeah.
cruise. You've got a house.
I
We're
know.
totally prepared for both. Um as we, as we tend to be.
As we tend to be for everything. I was like
Yeah.
almost gonna not say anything on the podcast and just like wait till we actually moved into my background just changed. And I was like, surprise. But
Oh
then I
my
was
God.
like,
You never would have made it that far. I'm coming to see you in
never.
like 3 weeks.
I
Like,
know.
there's not a chance.
No.
There's not a
I mean,
chance.
I
So.
would have told you before, but I wouldn't have told the podcast.
Oh, I see. I see. I thought we
Yeah.
were trying to keep it from me. I was,
No,
yeah,
but your reaction, I just wanted that. I was like, I'm so
I love
excited.
it. I love it.
Yeah. So I'm doing
What
great.
a time.
But since you're about to like be on vacay and I am about to spend the rest of my life stressed so that eventually I can feel good.
Right. Correct.
how
Heard.
how about you give us some spiritual enlightenment?
Look, that is what I am here for. Um, that was much too mild for today. Sorry, I need to now pick a new one because the one I had was a lot milder than we are currently. But I have a whole list. I have a whole
Perfect,
few.
perfect, perfect.
Um, okay, we're gonna go with this one. I am thankful for all of those who said no to me. It's because of them I'm doing it myself. Wayne W. Dyer.
Yeah.
That feels good. We're both being independent. We're both like
Oh yeah.
doing
Um,
it.
my sister and my mom were a little miffed about how easy it was for us to get the house. Not that it was easy, like,
That was
but
like, but that was really
yeah,
pretty smooth sailing.
because Dan thinks that I'm insane because I have never had to interview for a second job. Like if I've interviewed for a job for like not when I was younger, like in high school or whatever, but like for
Yeah,
teaching, every job I've interviewed for, I've immediately gotten. And it's always the first call I get that job. So he was like, that's not normal. People don't have that kind of luck. And I
yeah,
was like, okay. So then when we were like, okay, we're gonna put an offer on this house, my mom was like, I wanted you to get the house because obviously I wanted you to get the house, but she was like, but part of me wanted you to not get the house just so that you didn't feel like a fucking prick because every time you put in for something, you get what you want.
yeah.
So then when you called me yesterday, I was like, what a bitch. Yeah. So
That is true. I'm gonna have you start putting in for my stuff so I can
you can have some
start
of that
having a little bit.
mojo.
Yeah, have some of that mojo.
Don't worry. The mojo hasn't rubbed up on the podcast yet though, because nobody fucking listens to it.
I got a little spike. A little
Oh,
spike. We're gonna
yeah.
get better at social media, and that's gonna help too.
It'll
And
be
by
great.
that, I mean I'm gonna get better at social media, and it's gonna be fine.
It's been great.
So
Today we're going to talk about something that's not great, though. I mean, it's okay.
it's fine.
It's fine. It's a little mild for where we're at.
It is a little mild for where we're at. That
Uh,
is the best way to explain it.
Today we're talking about Stargate SG-1, Season 6, Episode 9, Allegiance. Um, it was rated 7.9 stars, which, okay.
It's fine. I mean, okay. I think that's fine. I'm okay
Yeah.
with that.
And it came out on August 9th, 2002. Um, The same book and song still there. And the number one movie is a movie I've never seen. Um, Came out that day. It is Triple X or XXX. I don't actually know how you,
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
The Vin Diesel movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say literally all I know about
Yeah.
it is that Vin Diesel's in it.
I also haven't seen it, but my friend's mom, while I was growing up, was obsessed with it. Like it was, but she's like obsessed with Vin Diesel too.
I was gonna
So,
say, I
you
mean, Vin
know,
Diesel, I like Vin Diesel. I like the Fast and
yeah.
the Furious movies more than I ever thought I would. And like
I never watched those, surprisingly. My ex, that's like his whole persona. Um,
yeah,
and
no,
I never watched them.
yeah. Um, I have two things for news, and both of them are kind of eh. Um, One, apparently there was a lot of rain in Eastern Europe and there was some major flooding that like destroyed a lot of property and killed some people in
Mm-hmm.
like Czechoslovakia or the Czech Republic and things like that. And so that's sad, but I literally couldn't find anything about it. I just saw like extreme weather and like that was it. Like there was no like real information. So
Yeah.
and then the only thing that really happened on that day, like that was like headline worthy, was that Barry Bonds hit his 600th career home run,
Oh, good
which
for
is great
him.
and good for Barry Bonds. That's awesome. Neither one of us are like hugely baseball people, so like
0%.
yeah. So I was like, okay,
I don't even know what team he's on.
I don't either.
Yeah. I know his
I
name. That's it.
I mean, on right now, none. That was 20
Right.
years ago.
Sure. Yes. Yeah. I mean, like, while this occurred, I
Yeah,
do
no,
not know
me
what team
either.
he was on.
I want to say he was on the Cubs. I don't know.
Yeah. You
Anyway,
could have told me anything and I would have believed it. So,
okay, cool. Um,
yeah.
this episode was both directed and written by Peter DeLuise and edited by Eric Hill. Um, the guest star who played Malik is named Peter Stebbings. When you look up Peter Stebbings, I found one Instagram and it was for a British journalist whose Instagram bio literally said, not the actor.
Bless his heart.
Um, he is known for directing the movie Defender. And then his acting things that he's known for are Immortals and Jack and Jill versus the World.
What a time. What a resume.
Um,
What a resume.
we have seen him before in our lives because he played Bob Paris's number one employee in season 3 of Bates Motel for 5 episodes. But this employee did not even have a name. He was literally just credited as Bob's employee. So clearly we didn't really talk about him at the time.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He is a Vancouver native who went to Circle in the Square Theater School in New York City before coming back to British Columbia. I got nothing.
Cool. 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 Cool.
Um, the team, we start the episode with the team on Braytax Planet dealing with the wounded and the new arrivals, and people are coming through the gate, mostly a group of Tok'ra. We find out that Anubis is go like Jaffa basically ambushed this Tok'ra planet. SG-12 was taken out. Jacob is the last person to come through the gate, and he has been shot. They meet the Tok'ra leaders of this new group of people, and they've evacuated. But they were really not aware of how many Jaffa were supposedly in the Jaffa Rebellion, and it doesn't
Yeah.
seem like this is gonna go as well as we had all hoped. And then we get the credits.
Which is like an important opening, but
Yeah,
it's kind of slow moving for me. Just kind of
it
slow
was,
moving.
and it was also like, oh, tension, Jacob's hurt, but then he
Yeah.
immediately comes through the
But then
gate.
he's immediately fine.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know. They actually did the tension decently well for one thing later in the episode, but like not in the opening.
Yeah.
After the credits, we start with a funeral for some of the fallen Tok'ra from this evacuation, which honestly, what a fucking way to go. And to make sure that nobody uses your body for anything else, like no Goa'uld can use your body, they just fucking disintegrate your body in the kawoosh.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 would like to make sure.
Absolutely the perfect way to do it.
Yeah.
Correct. No question.
And then this one Jaffa who we find out later his name's Artak, kind of like starts a fight with Oker, or Ocker, one of the other Tok'ra, and we
Hmm.
and like says that basically the Tok'ra are no different than the Gold, and things are like not cool. And it turns out that the Jaffa and the Tok'ra have some real bad blood, some real negative history.
Which I mean makes sense because like I mean the Tok'ra literally are like we're not the Jaffa. Like that's what we've heard the whole time.
Yeah, where they're like
So
we're
like
different than the Gold, but like how? Why? We don't
yeah.
know. We don't know anything about you really. So then Jack and Jacob have a really long conversation, and this scene was really long and really nice. Like I really liked this scene. I didn't put obviously the entire dialogue in, but like
Hmm.
basically they talk about Jack's experience with Kanan and being a Tok'ra and how like even the Tok'ra are on Jack's side about the fact that that was not how things should have gone or what was expected, and like, but also it's very clear that Jack was never fully blended and never really like wanted Kanan in his head because like there's no sympathy or understanding of the Tok'ra like
Yeah.
there or whatever. And then they also talk about like the Tok'ra Jaffa history and like the way these planets and the history of these people and like the subjugation and the like level of like if you've grown up your whole life being slaves or um like rebels against a system, it's hard to like trust the other side of it, even if you both say you want the same things or whatever. And like,
Right.
but then they also like mention the fact that both the Tok'ra and the Jaffa resistance are like not doing as well as they're like portraying themselves to be doing. Things like the Gould are not going down as fast as they want us to believe that they are.
Hmm.
Um, and then we get a quick cut that threw me off for a hot second to Sam, who has just discovered that the Naquita reactor at the base was rigged to blow and that like they would have had an hour before the entire camp was gone and that it wasn't an accident, like it was definitely tampered with.
Yeah.
Somebody did this. So they decided that the only way to like really figure out who did it is to watch the gate and make sure no one tries to leave because like Jack says, if you decided to blow up an entire camp, would you want to stay?
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
So SG-1 reports to Hammond that the gate should be closed for all travel for a while, just in case. This is our only scene of Hammond and
Hmm.
Jonas this episode, and
Yeah.
Jonas
Jonas was like
wants
not
to
there.
come help, but Jack's like, I can't open the gate again. Like, we don't know what's
Yeah.
going on. We don't trust anybody. It's better for you to stay there. Which story wise and logically, it does make sense. I don't know why Jonas wasn't there in the first place.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too, because like he's like such a new character, but he's so integrated that I it felt kind of strange like this suddenly to not have him be a part
Yeah,
of the mission, you know?
so it was kind of weird, and I don't really know why he wasn't there. And truthfully, all of the things that I did, like looking for answers, I didn't find anything. I really didn't like dig into like why
Hmm.
exactly like that, but it wasn't in any of the production notes and anything that I could find. So,
Interesting.
um, um,
Maybe they weren't ready to have him introduced like with Braytech yet, because that's like I think that should be a big announcement or like a big introduction, I guess, because they haven't like met in person. And
didn't they?
did
Yes, they
they?
did at the beginning of this season with the episodes with Ryak and Braytak when they came back to the base.
Oh, you're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know then. That was my only reasoning. So
Um,
out the
Yeah, I
door.
don't know. And also like there is some I don't always find a lot of when it comes to trivia and production notes and interviews and stuff, I don't always find a lot that has to do with Jonas because Corin Nemec has some bad blood with some of the other cast members. They are not on speaking terms
Oh,
anymore. And so he's often not brought up a lot in interviews unless they were like from the time when this was happening. Um,
interesting.
which we can talk more about that later when there's less spoilery stuff to go into it. But yeah, like if a modern interview, they're not talking about him.
Interesting.
Um, so but so yeah, so he won't be in the rest of the episode. But then Jack tells the Tok'ra that they're gonna need to hold off on seeking a new home planet because there's a saboteur somewhere among them, and they need to figure out who it is before they let anybody do anything. So Salmac is like, we can use the Zatark device, which we have seen before. I don't remember if you remember this.
Um, it sounded familiar when they were talking about it, but I didn't really.
So there was an episode, I want to say in season 4, where something happened and they couldn't get the correct story about what happened with the Tok'ra. Oh, it was when the bitchy Tok'ra lady sent them to this other planet, and then when they came back, things weren't quite correct. And it turned out that the reason their stories weren't lining up was because Sam and Jack were hiding their feelings for each other.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's the whole idea of like, we know for a fact that it can see not just Zatarks, but deception because of that whole
Right.
situation.
Mm-hmm.
But so he says, okay, so we'll use this device to find out who's lying, figure out what people know. And Jack says, we're gonna interview the Tok'ra first. And they're a little offended. And he's like, okay, well, you guys are the newest people here, and this is a new situation. So like logically, it makes sense to start with you. Like that's not a personality, like that's not I'm picking sides. That's a there wasn't a problem. You got here. Now there's a problem.
That was the problem, yeah.
Um so Malek is questioned and turns out he's telling the truth. It seems that they've gone through all of the Tok'ra. They don't really have an answer, so they're gonna start going through more people. They basically say after the Tok'ra, they'll do the humans, the Tauri first. But the Jaffa are going to also need to be questioned. And Jack and Braytak and Jacob are all talking together to discuss like how to convince the Jaffa to do it, because not only do the Jaffa not trust the Tok'ra, the Jaffa's whole thing is that their lives are dependent on honor. And so like to say that like we don't trust the words coming out of your mouth is to say that we don't believe you have honor. So it's like culturally a shit show also.
Yeah.
So like Jack is basically like Braytak, like if you trust your people, do this so that they can like show their honor to people who don't trust them, basically. Like
right.
So then but as they're having this conversation, Malik calls for Jack because because Oker, the other Toker guy who's been an ass the whole time, is now dead. And so immediately Artak is accused of killing him because, they've had like 5 squabbles in the past day. So like it makes sense. And he's like, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Like I wasn't even over here. I was on the other side of the camp. And so then they're like, okay, well, like Janet. So Jack's like, Janet, I need you to figure out exactly what was the cause of death so we have more information, and we're going to start interviewing people. And then he tells Jacob and Braytak that like they need to get their people to trust them, because obviously Braytak and Jacob don't seem to have a problem with each other. They both understand the plights of both sets of people, but
they've been the most involved too this whole time.
And their people don't seem, but they're like basically Jack's like, Jacob, you trust Bray like that I wouldn't bring the Jaffa to you if I was lying, and Braytek, you trust that I wouldn't bring the Toker to you if I was lying. So like you guys need to get your people to understand that we're all on the same team here.
Right.
So Artak is screened, and the Zartek detector shows that he did in fact lie about killing Ocker. So everybody's like, all the Tok'ra are like, okay, well, that's the answer. And because we're aware that Jack and Sam had false positives because they were trying to pretend that they weren't in love with each other, they were like, no, but like sometimes heightened emotion can like fuck with it a little bit because you're like hiding something. You're not hiding. It's not a lie detector. It's just detecting like that there's something
heightened emotions. Basically.
Yeah, like you're just there's something that you're deceiving, and if it's just pure hatred, that's enough height to like fuck with it. And so Jack's like, I'm not saying that your detector is wrong. I'm just saying that here, like, we don't persecute someone because of a fancy red light on a lie detector. I want corroboration. I want to know if it was possible that he was able to do this. Are there witnesses who saw him somewhere else? Is the weapon that killed the guy like something he couldn't have done. Like, I need more evidence. I will put him in a holding cell. I will keep him here. I will not let him run free, but I need more information before I like sentence him to anything.
Right.
Um, so then it turns out that the autopsy showed that Aker was stabbed in the back of the neck in the exact way to sever both his and his symbiote's like spinal cords. And Braytak is insistent that a Jaffa would never do that. He's like, a Jaffa would never kill from behind. Like we fight for honor. We would fight you face to face. And the Toker are like, yeah, but you lose. He's like, that's not the fucking point.
They have like it's almost like some petty arguments. And
It,
like I get it, it's all very like important. But it's just like sometimes like teenage spats almost.
correct. Um, and while they're fighting, an alarm goes off and they rush to the holding cell where they now find that Artak is also dead. And it turns out that Artak was stabbed in the stomach through the bars of the cell. And so it's purported that he knows his killer, because why would he be openly leaning against the cell if it wasn't somebody who he trusted? So now it's back to, okay, a Jaffa did it.
Yeah.
And
he said, she said
yeah.
situation.
The disagreement between the groups is getting worse. Everybody is continuing to like just sling arrows. We get to the point where they're literally just in the middle of the fucking town, standing in two lines, all having weapons like drawn at each other. And Jack's like, huh, what in the fuck is going on here?
Plus Jack. My God, this scene, I was just like, how have we gotten here?
Yeah. And then Braytak is like, all right, everybody pause for a second. We have found footsteps leading away from the camp as if someone did this and then ran away. And they're like, okay, but like, whose footsteps are they? How the fuck are you going to tell me from footsteps which one of the three of us, all fucking human characters, is going to be this?
Right. Right.
Which, thank God, Braytek's like, it's impossible to know.
Yeah.
Like, Tauri are human. Tok'ra are Goa'ulds in humans. Jaffa are Goa'ulds sitting in a stomach pouch in only slightly adapted humans. Like, what?
Right.
Anyway, so they go on a hunt. They decide to get a head count, gather everybody in the base in one place so they can see who's missing. Turns out no one is missing.
It's a real like Cinderella story.
Yeah. My favorite, have you seen the interviews where Chad Michael Murray's like, who the fuck was I that I couldn't tell who she was in that mask? Anyway, so then they decide that they're going to go on a search party to find who is out there in the woods. But in order to make sure nobody loses their goddamn mind, they're all going to be in search parties of 3, and every party is going to have one of each race in it.
What a fun time.
Which, here's the thing, that's great and all. And I understand it's because you got to make sure everybody's watching their backs. But I also think the group's not quite fair. Because Sam and Sam and Jacob are together, which means that whoever the Jaffa in their group is, doesn't matter.
Right.
Teal'c is in a group as if he's a human, not a Jaffa, because he's with Ragnar. Which I understand the point. He's part of SG-1. Also, he's not human.
Right.
And Braytak and Jack are together. So, like, what?
You would think you would want to have like one of these members in each other.
I thought, here, Jack, Braytak, and Jacob should be a group, because then there's nobody saying that they're on any other side. Right?
Yeah.
But no. I didn't write
that
this
is not the way.
But then again, of course, that wouldn't have worked for the whole thing with Malik and Braytak, and it's fine, and I get it, whatever. But what?
I know.
Yeah, because like Jacob, who is literally related to the humans, is a Tok'ra, acting as a Tok'ra. but also Jacob never acts fully as a Tok'ra.
Yeah, and he's
And
with his daughter.
yeah, and Teal, who is a Jaffa, who takes the Jaffa's side sometimes when Jack doesn't want to him, is in a group as if he's part of the Tauri. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know who
No,
wrote.
it doesn't make any sense. It
Yeah.
doesn't. It's
Also,
all very structured for storyline.
yeah.
Like not for making sense.
Yeah. So then they're all running around. They find another one of the groups of three, but all three members are dead. So like, who wasn't one of them who killed them? All three of them are. So that's sketchy.
Yeah.
And then Malik and Braytak are walking, and something invisible attacks Braytak, and sort of Malik, but mostly Braytak. And Malik runs away and comes to tell Jack that Braytak is dead.
I thought for sure, first of all, I was like, what a way to kill Braytag.
Yeah.
That's so sudden. But also I was like, the only thing I know we've had other invisible things, but the only thing I can think of are those robots
Oh, the
from
bug
ages ago.
the bug
Yeah.
thingies. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, that's for sure not what's
I mean,
happening.
to be fair, remember Neart's technology was developed from those bugs. So that's
Right.
fair. That does make sense that that's where your brain went. And they were like, Neart could do that. Like, and they were like, why would Neart be helping Anubis? Like, that doesn't make sense. But it is
Right.
that technology. So it does make sense that your brain went back to those bug robots, but
it was
yeah.
not what
No.
was happening.
Teal'c obviously reacts very badly to the idea of Braytak being dead and tries to kill Malik.
So did I. So I get it.
Yeah. To be fair, I actually had to stop and double check because I was like, I don't think this is where he dies, but let me just like make sure because, like I said, they actually like kept us going on this one a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jacob stops Teal'c and is like, "It's not. I'm not even doing this for Malik. I'm doing this because you know Braytek would not want you to be doing this right now."
Yeah.
And sorry. Malik reports what happened and what he saw, and they discuss like how it could be Nearty, but that doesn't make sense for it to be Nearty, but this is the technology that they're using and everything. And they're like, so they decide that they're going to try to use the Nequita reactor to emit an EM pulse at a specific magnitude that will
Mm-hmm.
like make invisible wavelengths visible.
And can you remind me how they became visible, the like little bug creatures? Like how did we see them?
I'm trying to remember. It had to do with it also had to do with electricity. I think they had to like,
because at
shoot
first,
something.
yeah, I thought I was like, oh, this is the same. Then I was like, no, we didn't have the Naquita stuff then. That's not what we were using then. And so then I could not, for the life of me, remember what actually happened.
Uh,
I'm sorry for asking the hard
no,
questions.
it's okay. It's just that Ritu. I couldn't remember what they were called.
Oh yeah. I never could. Yeah.
Um, uh, which a trans-phase eradication rod, which was a thing that like changed the energy wave pulses in the
Right.
So it's similar. It's
Yeah.
But interestingly, he says that if they can get the waves between 400 and 700, it will like help. The entire spectrum of visible light is between the wavelengths of 400 and 700. That nothing else is visible. So
Gotcha.
So the teams all join together to create this decloaking thing. Everybody is guarding the gate to make sure nobody tries to sneak out of it, because now that they know that they're not just working with sabotage, they're working with something invisible, they have to be a little bit more careful.
Mm-hmm.
And Janet is discussing the manner of death with Teal'c and Jack, and she describes, we had already seen how the killer killed the Tok'ra, but when she describes what they did to the Jaffa and how they like basically stabbed them through the stomach
Mm-hmm.
pouch to like get the Goa'uld first.
Yeah.
Teal realizes that this is not a Goa'uld, like a normal Goa'uld, it's an Ashrak.
Mm-hmm.
Which, did you remember that word?
Absolutely. Okay. I remembered hearing it, but that was literally all I could remember about it.
Weirdly, the episode of Terra that I listened to yesterday was about the Jolinar episode where the Ashrak came after Sam and Jolinar. So the word was very fresh in my mind. But
Yeah.
then, because, that was the season 2, episode 2, they did then remind us that an
Right.
Ashrak was a Goa'uld assassin, like the one who came after Sam and Jolinar.
Yep.
So that was
They
nice
did
that
a good job.
they did a good job of actually like reminding us of what the fuck they're talking about because they haven't talked about it in 4 seasons. Um,
Mhm.
so then the Ashrak attacks the base and steals a GDO so that they can get out and get to Earth, which
What
is
is the GDO?
the GDO. I forget what it stands for because it stands for something dumb. But the GDO me is the garage. GDO stands for garage door opener, but it's basically the thing that has their code on it. What like so like
Mm-hmm.
SG-1
Mm-hmm.
has a specific code on their GDO, and so like
Right.
it's how they get the iris open on the other side.
Got it. Because I know they were just talking about it, and I was like, I'm sure this has been referenced before, but I have
Yes.
no idea what they're talking about. So
Yes.
I can't care because I don't know what's missing.
Yeah. No, it is the thing that like allows SGC to let them in.
Right. And that's fair. That is a big deal.
Yeah.
I just
Uh,
did not know what was going on.
Then the rest of the episode is kind of just like a long sequence of like invisible fight scene
Yeah.
until they finally get the UV light to work and they finally have eyes on the Ashrak. And then just in time for before the Ashrak kills Jack and Malik, Braytak appears from the forest and shoots the Ashrak in the back because he was not dead, just unconscious.
He is a lifesaver.
It's He's
Yeah.
137 years old and still the only one who knows what the fuck he's doing.
Still the only person that can do anything worthwhile. Yeah.
I only have one piece of trivia, actually, other than the light spectrum thing, and that is that this is the very first episode ever of Stargate to feature both Braytak and Jacob.
I thought that, I was watching it and I was like, I don't think these two have ever worked together, but they like kind of seem like they have. I was like, maybe I'm forgetting, but like,
No, this is the very first time that we have both of them in the same place. Both of our dads.
nice. Our dads.
Yeah,
I
because
love it.
I don't think Jack's dad is around.
I don't know that Jack has any family left.
Yeah, like I don't, I'm pretty sure that his parents are not around at all. And obviously we know Daniel's dad is dead.
Mhm.
We watched that happen like 82 times in a row for no
Right,
reason.
right.
And Teal'c's real dad is dead, but Braytak basically raised him. So like
Right.
these are our dads.
Yeah.
Jonas, I don't
We don't know.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like he has a family.
It doesn't because it seems like the professor was kind of like his dad growing
Yeah.
up. Like he really kind of took him under his wing. So
Yeah.
that really feels like his only family.
Yeah. And he doesn't like when he and Teal talk about like whether he's going to go back or not. Like Teal talks about his family, and Jonas basically is like, I don't have anything.
Yeah.
So it makes me think he does not have a family. So
Right.
So this is our first double dad episode.
Aww.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts, feelings?
I just don't even know. This episode, that's why I'm okay with it being a little bit of a higher rating, I think, than what I anticipated. Because I did get a little concerned about Braytak.
Yeah.
I love a Braytak episode. And I feel like those are always rated a little bit higher, whether anything happens or not, just because Braytak's in them. So that totally makes sense
I was
too.
watching the episode of The West Wing that he was in, because he's in one episode of The West Wing. And he showed up and I just go, Dad, it's Braytak. And he goes, I know. And I go, ah, and I freaked out. And I was like, it's Braytak. He goes, I know. Like, you're not as excited about this as I am.
Just be excited. yeah, so I love seeing Braytech. I love seeing Jacob. Um, and I felt like we really had a full team. I mean, other than Jonas and Hammond
Yeah.
not really
Yeah.
being in it,
Yeah.
we did get a really full picture of how everything lines up with the Jaffa, the Tok'ra, and the Tari, and so that we have our big three, I guess, that are kind of like
Yeah.
fighting to take down the bad guys. So I thought that was really nice to see too, and that they're kind of coming together, which makes me think that they're really coming together because we're about to have a big showdown and they need all three teams. And like this was a big deal. I mean, like this was you needed all three teams to like go through this thing with the Ashrak so that they could overcome and work together. And I think that that felt like a placeholder to be like, let me show you that they can work together through peril because
Yeah.
they're about to have to.
Yeah. That's
I don't know if
fair.
that's true or not, but that is the vibe I
Yeah.
get.
I will say, in true Stargate fashion, and
Not related
like,
at
and
all.
no, and how a lot of the season has been going. Next week will be unrelated, but it will also be one of the most important discoveries for the show.
Cool.
Season six does a lot of like you need to know about this, and then move on. But
Okay, bye. Yeah.
it'll come back. Don't worry. There's kind of a big thing that happens next week.
Well, it's the almost the midpoint because we have episode 10 next. So
Yeah, so we're
22
at
probably.
23, I believe. I think every season is
Okay.
20. No, this one is only 22. Yeah, so we've got the next two are that big end of the first half. Uh,
Cool, cool.
so there's some things gonna happen. That's something you want to know about.
Can't wait. Glad I only watched 3 minutes of that episode and then turned it off.
Yeah.
Um, because
Um,
I for sure almost watched the wrong episode this week. I did tell Mary Kate earlier, but
yeah.
just so you all know.
Um, who before we wrap this up, who do you want to punch?
Shrek. I mean, everyone had a little bit of a punchable element because everyone was just being a little like fussy and petty for no reason. I
Yeah.
mean, reasons, but not enough. But overall, they kind of like overcame that. So really, just the Ashrak is the one I'm going for.
That's fair. I know he died and so it's a little sad, but I really
Sure.
am gonna go with Ocker because like
Hmm.
clearly Artak had a fucking problem, but like in terms of the
Right.
rankings, it's like Braytak, Teal'c, and Ragnar are like the important ones, and Artak's like a nobody who's just got an attitude
Hmm.
problem. For the Tok'ra, Ocker, Malik, and Bray and Jacob are like Selmac are like the ones that are like important. So like if you're leading a whole people, you better fucking put your grudges away.
Right. Right.
So he's slightly worse in my mind than Artak.
Hmm.
So he will get my fists.
Yeah, that's very fair. That's and I did think about it, but I was like,
Yeah,
that's fine. I'll go with the Ashrak.
yeah.
Um,
Who is your MVP?
I think Jack. I know I picked him last week too, but he like really held it together and he was like, no, everyone's gonna pay attention, everyone's gonna do right. We're working together. This is not we can't let it all fall apart. And I thought he did really good at like leading the whole team as opposed to just his team, you know?
You know, I
So
like that. I really thought you were gonna pick Braytak. Um,
he survived. So I would have picked him if he didn't survive. He did
I
great too. I love Braytech, but
no, I know, but I was really so sure you were going to pick Braytak, so I didn't pick Braytak because I thought you were going to.
oh,
And I picked Jacob. Um,
mm-hmm.
and really only for like one moment. And it was that conversation with him and Jack where he basically was like, I know you don't trust us, but like it's not it's not about you. Like,
Right.
and he's like, and he even says, he's like, there's something really weird about having like about being the host and having the symbiote in your head because you're no longer thinking about yourself the same way. Like my
Mm-hmm.
personality isn't even, and he's like, and like I love you and Sam and like that's my family and like I get it, but like it isn't also, and it's something that I can't control that I have
Right.
these feelings. And so like, yeah.
Yeah, and that really was probably the setup for what made Jack like really take control correctly, like
Yeah.
instead of just being because sometimes he gets a little petty and pissy when he is leading multiple races as
Sometimes.
well. Yeah. But this time he felt
Yeah.
like a good leader. Like,
Yeah.
and it probably did have a lot to do with Jacob's conversation,
Yeah.
that kind of brought him to that point.
All right.
So
Well, um, next episode is a Thriller Thursday episode, and we will be jumping back in to our TV show Hannibal. Thank God,
thank
because
God.
last week was rough.
Yeah.
But if you have any thoughts, theories, concerns, questions, please feel free to email us at deathandaliens@gmail.com. You can follow us on all of the social media at Death and Aliens, and you can follow me everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
And you can find me at CE Cloud 13.
And with that, we will see you later. Bye.
Bye.